when I first had a video blow up, you'll check it out now, my most popular video, Hamza's Clues About Relationships. I had a bunch of comments ask me about this book, The Way of the Superior Man, by David Dade or something his name is. And I read the book. And they asked me, oh, have you read it? I was like, yeah, what do you think? Because all the Hamza crew, all the Hamza bum boys, Hamza loved that book. And I'm like, oh, it's like the Bible of masculinity. A lot of people, I remember seeing people talk about it in that way. And I said, yeah, I liked it. It's a bit problematic. People couldn't understand. What do you mean problematic? Why is it problematic? Please do a video on this to explain it. I never did. Until now. We'll get into it. I have read the book. I don't know if you guys, maybe you've read it. It's a good book. I like the book. But there were some problematic elements to it. And it links back to this purpose. You must find your purpose as a man. Your most important thing is your purpose. That was the real fundamental message of that book. You have to find your purpose, and your purpose is the most important thing in your life. Now, we all have to have a purpose. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should all have a purpose. The way this book was presenting it, wasn't saying it outright. And the way so much talk online today is around purpose is that, for a man, it's very much in line with the hero's journey, right? And that we have to have some type of grand purpose. You should be doing something that changes the world. I couldn't help but read that book and feel like that was kind of what he was trying to get to. Everything else is subpar unless you have some really high, lofty goals and ambitions in life. And so I was reading this book. I read this book around lockdown. The first lockdown, then my son was 6 months. And I was reading this book and I was getting into it, and I sort of bought into the core concepts of the book. So what was happening to me was I was very much in agreement. I did have visions and bigger goals of what I wanted to achieve, but I started to believe everything else around me was below that, beneath me. To the point where I'd get pissed off. I might be working on my big dreams, goals and aspirations, and then my wife might be like, oh, the baby needs his nappy changed. Can you change it? And I'd get annoyed. Blah. And I'd start thinking things along the lines like, oh, these guys are getting in the way of my purpose. My wife and my 6-month-old child are getting in the way. But this thing of changing nappies, I've got more important things to do. And fortunately, I realized pretty early in what was happening with myself. I managed to course correct. But this is what I mean. This is essentially what I mean, the problem around masculine purpose. Just set myself up better here. If you buy into this notion that you have a higher purpose, you're changing the world, or you want to be a millionaire, or an online influencer, or whatever it is, you start to lose track of actually what's genuinely really important. You start to lose appreciation for the little things in life, and you start to not just even take for granted, you start to get annoyed with those even closest to you. In my case, it was my wife and my 6-month-old child. And for some people, you're not going to have some lofty purpose. We're not all made for that. We're not all cut out for that. For a lot of guys, your purpose in life, your biggest, most important thing that's going to be in your life is going to be your family, your wife, your kids, people closest to you, your friends, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister. And that means that you should be there for them. We all imagine this masculine journey, the hero's journey. You're out fucking slaying dragons and shit, taking on the world and doing amazing things and being a 0.1% man who doesn't live like ordinary people. But for some of you guys, the most important things in your day is going to be changing a nappy, man. And I know that sounds so silly, right? It sounds so ridiculous. And I'm not really selling you much here in terms of, wow, what a life to live. But I mean it in like, your hero's journey is to be a good man, a good family man, a good member of your own family, of your friendships, of your society, of your community. And we ain't all gonna be multi-millionaires, and we don't all have to be YouTubers as ironic as that is, coming from someone who has a YouTube channel. It's okay to be normal. It's okay to live a normal life. It's okay to have a 9 to 5. This side of the internet really shits on 9 to 5ers, and for a lot of us, 9 to 5 isn't going to work. Average isn't going to work, and that's absolutely okay as well. Like, there's no right or wrong here, but for some of us, and I see this a lot, they get sold this dream like, oh, you're a wage slave and you need to get out and escape the rat race and you need to have your own business and blah 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 and be a millionaire and have influence and have clout and all of this and status, and they come out the other end of it and realizing that's not for me. In the same way that people live the rat race and live a normal life and they realize that's not for them, there's many that go down this route and realize it. That entrepreneurial, big, ambitious goals, huge purpose isn't for you either. And that's absolutely okay, man. And even if you have those lofty dreams and ambitions and goals, and maybe you do have a higher purpose, maybe you feel a higher calling, never, never, never lose sight of the bigger picture, like who you're doing it for. And don't lose appreciation for the small things. I believe and feel that I'm made out for a little bit more than what you would say like the normal life, let's say. I want a life of more freedom. I love helping guys out and where I can. I'm not a know-it-all. I try not to go down that route or give that impression. Just a bit of life experience. Just a guy who can help along the way and pass on some experience wherever I can. Whoever wants to listen, that's great. I'm not cut out for a 9 to 5 and that stuff. But it was a great reminder for me that I'm doing it for my family. And the simple things in life are so important. And I can't lose track of that. Just because some guy wrote a book saying your purpose is more important than anything, your woman, your kids, whatever. No, man. My kids are number one. People closest to me are number one. My ambitions for more, as important as that is, I do it for them. And again, that book was another problematic aspect of that book was it was a little bit, you become self-centered. And I see this a lot online. There's a lot of guys who, it's all about them. I've spoken about this. It all becomes about them. Self-improvement, self-development becomes all about them. Me. How can I be the best? How can I get the best life? How can I, me. Your purpose is the most important thing. My purpose. Fuck everything else. My purpose. I don't think that's what real masculinity is. I think masculinity is to give back, to serve. So yeah. Just some points I was thinking about this morning. What do you think, guys? Love to hear your opinions on this one.